Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel AWS DevOps Niche Level. So in this video, we will see how to create a pipeline job in Jenkins. So what is a Jenkins pipeline? So we do generally configure our CI/CD pipelines via the Jenkins job, but Jenkins itself has an inherent pipeline feature which can be used to configure our CI/CD pipelines. So what is a Jenkins pipeline? Jenkins pipeline is a suite of plugins that supports implementing and integrating continuous delivery pipelines into Jenkins. So basically, we need to install a plugin called Pipeline, and there are a few other dependent plugins. If at all you want to integrate Maven with Jenkins, then we go for Pipeline Maven integration plugins. So like that, there are some related plugins available related to the pipeline, which we need to install it. So that's why it is a suite of plugins. So this link typically has some information about the Jenkins pipeline. I will be putting this link in the description as well, and you can go through the details. So what are all the two types of pipelines that is available within Jenkins? So we have something called as a declarative pipeline. Then we have a scripted pipeline. So if I start with scripted pipeline, so if at all you want to configure a scripted pipeline, you will have to come up with a Groovy script mentioning the stages of your pipeline. So if you are going for a scripted pipeline, you need Groovy programming skills because scripted pipeline typically supports only the Groovy scripts. Then we have the declarative pipeline, which is the recent introduction from Jenkins, wherein this declarative pipeline provides more syntactical features and it enables reading and writing the pipeline code easier. So basically, declarative pipeline provides a standard format which is easier to follow and it is easy to code as well compared to the scripted pipeline. So if you are good in Groovy programming, then directly you can go for scripted pipeline. Otherwise, you can get used to this declarative pipeline syntax and configure your pipeline using the declarative pipeline. So now we can see the pipeline syntax. So typically for the scripted pipeline, so we need to write our stages using the Groovy script. Now you see the declarative pipeline. It is having a standard syntax. So it is starting with pipeline, the open braces. Then we mention agent any. So this agent is nothing but where you want to execute your pipeline. Is it on the Jenkins master? Or if you have configured any Jenkins slave, then you can just provide that label name of that slave and your pipeline will be executed on the slave machine. Otherwise, it will be by default execute on the Jenkins master. Then the stages will be very important. So what exactly you want to do as part of the pipeline, right? So you put stages, you start an open parenthesis, then you put in the type of the stage. Is it a build stage or is it a test stage? Or is it you want to clone your code repository or is it a deploy stage? So like that, you put in the stage. This is basically the label for the stage, and here you will put in what exactly you want to do as part of that stage, right? So this is how the declarative pipeline looks like, and we will also see a sample, pipeline script. And as part of the lab, I'm also going to do a demo on how do you clone your repository, the GitHub repository, using the pipeline script. Right. So as we know, these are all the various stages in the software release, wherein it will start with the development stage. You commit your code in the source code management repository like Git and GitHub, right? And then you check out your code. Then you build your code using the build tools like Maven. Then you test your code using the testing tools like Selenium, JUnit, JMeter, etc. Finally, we have a deploy stage where we will be deploying the code either into the test environment or into the production environment, right? So ideally, these are all the various stages, starting from developing your code, then building it, testing it, and deploying it. All these stages can be executed in sequence via the Jenkins pipeline script. Okay, so now it's time to get into the lab. So I have given a brief about Jenkins pipeline, and there are two types of pipeline. So we will be doing a lab demo on the declarative pipeline, and we will put in a pipeline script to clone the code from the GitHub repository, right? So basically, these are all the steps that we will do as part of the lab. First is I will be setting up Jenkins. Then I will be installing the plugins so that we can set up our pipeline script. Then we will create a Jenkins pipeline job. It will clone the GitHub repository. Okay, it's not Git, it's basically the GitHub repository. So now let us go into the lab demo. So I'm in the AWS console. What I will do is I will be setting up Jenkins on the Ubuntu system. Okay, so let me say this will be in Ubuntu. I'm going to use a Ubuntu AMI. So I will click launch instances and I'll give the name as Jenkins. So here I'll be selecting this Ubuntu AMI, which is this 22.04 LTS. Then instance type, I'll go with t2.micro and I will be selecting a key pair. So network settings, for now I will be opening the SSH from my IP address. And later on, once Jenkins is set up, we can come back and open the port 8080 as well. Now let me go ahead and launch the instance. We can give it a few seconds. Okay, so now our instance is in the running state. Let me go ahead and log into my instance and we will set up Jenkins. So I'll grab the public IP address. Let me open the putty. Okay, let me just double check the keys I have used. It is 712. Okay. Okay, so now this being the Ubuntu system, the default user will be Ubuntu. So let me log in with the default user. So now let me switch on to the root. Let me clear the screen. Okay, now let us go ahead and install Jenkins. So as a first step, what I will do is let me update the packages with this command apt-get update. Enter. Okay, so the package update has been completed. So next step, we will have to download the Jenkins key for the authentication, right? So this is a command which I will use to download this Jenkins key. It is available in the package.jenkins.io website, and it is in the Debian-stable repository. So this is the key I will download. So let me copy this command. and I will be putting it in the local folder user share key rings, and this will be the file that will have the GPG key, right? So I'll just copy this command, enter. Okay, so the key has been downloaded. So now what we need to do, we need to download the Jenkins packages, right? So again the packages are available in this particular repository, Debian stable binary. This is a package that we can download from the package.jenkins.io website. So let me again copy this command. Okay, so now before installing Jenkins, we need to install the JDK 11 because Java is a prerequisite before we install Jenkins. So straight away I use this command to install the OpenJDK 11. So apt get install OpenJDK 11 JRE, enter. I'll say yes here. Okay, so now Java has been installed. Let me give the command java-version. You can see that we have installed 11.0.21 version. So now let us go ahead and install Jenkins. I use this command apt-get install Jenkins. I'm getting this error. Okay, Jenkins has no installation candidate, so I have to just check it again. Let me exit this session and relog in. We try to update the packages again. I can get update. Okay, now let me try to install Jenkins. Okay, yeah, I had to update the packages once again after downloading the key as well as the Jenkins repo, and now it is working fine. It's installing Jenkins now. So post this, we'll have to start the Jenkins process. Okay, it might take few seconds here. Okay, so now I think it has installed Jenkins. Now let us go ahead and start the Jenkins service with this command. Systemctl start Jenkins. Okay, now we will verify the status of the Jenkins process. Systemctl status Jenkins. Okay, you can see that it's active and running. Okay, so now the next step, what we will do is, before we access the Jenkins console, we will have to open the port 8080 in the security group, right? So I go into the security group here. Just open the security group. Hit inbound rules. I will add a new rule, custom TCP port 8080. I will open it from anywhere IPv4 and let us save the rules. Okay, now we will try to log into the Jenkins console. So let me grab the public IP address. So IP:8080. Okay, so it is initially asking for the administrator password. So I'll just copy this and I will do a cat of this file so that I'll be getting the admin password. So you can see here, this is the admin password. Let me copy this and paste it here. Click continue. And it's always better to install the suggested plugins, okay, because this itself will cover the plugins, whatever is needed for the pipeline. So I will just say install suggested plugins. So it will take a minute to get the plugins installed. Okay, so now the pipeline, the plugins got installed. So if at all you want to create any specific admin user, you can go ahead with it, or we can just skip this step and continue as the admin. So this is a Jenkins URL. I just click save and finish. Right? So now let me click start using Jenkins. Okay, so this is our Jenkins screen. So now we will try to create a simple pipeline job. So what I will do is I will click new item here. So let us also verify the steps. So we completed the setup of Jenkins in Ubuntu, and we also installed the needed plugins. And now let us go ahead and create a Jenkins pipeline job to clone the GitHub repository. Okay, so I'll just give it a name, my first pipeline job, right? And you can see since we installed all those recommended plugins, it is showing this pipeline also here, right? So pipeline orchestrates long-running activities that can span multiple build agents. Okay, so suitable for building the pipelines, also known as workflows, and for organizing the complex activities that do not easily fit in the freestyle job, right? So let us go ahead and select this option, pipeline, click OK. Okay, so I can give it a description. This is, okay, this job will clone the repository. And here what we will do, we will straight away select this pipeline script here. Okay, so you have two options, pipeline script and pipeline script from SCM, that is a source code management, wherein you put in your Jenkins file in the GitHub itself. So that is the second option we have. But for now, we can just, I will anyway put in a separate video for the second option. How do you create your Jenkins file and save it in the repo itself? But for now, we will see how to write a pipeline script using the declarative pipeline. And we can also try some sample pipeline script, right? For example, if I click hello world, so this is a sample script for hello world, right? So here you can see pipeline, open braces, agent is any. So in this case, it's going to execute on the Jenkins master because we are not calling any slave here. Now this is the stage. So you start with stages, parenthesis, then the stage, the name of the stage is hello. Then you put in the steps within that stage. In this case, the command we are putting is just to echo hello world. It will be a very simple pipeline job. It will echo hello world. So now what we will do, we will put in a same kind of a pipeline script, but that will typically clone the GitHub repository. So how do you get the code for that? So what we can do is, so here in the stage, I will just say clone up repo. Okay, so that is our stage name. Okay, now in the steps, we have to give the exact command that will clone the GitHub repository in our pipeline script. How do we get that? I click this pipeline syntax, or let me just make a duplicate of this. I click pipeline syntax. And here in the sample step, what I will do is probably I will select git colon git. Right? And here I click generate pipeline script. Or let me just see what other options are available. Okay, so sample step, I have selected git colon git. Now it is asking me for the repository URL, right? So let me type in my GitHub repository URL. Okay, so let me copy this URL here. And in the repository URL, I'll just paste the URL. Now I will say generate pipeline script. Now if you can see, this is the step for cloning the GitHub repository. So let me copy this and I will be putting it in my pipeline script. So copy, and here instead of echo hello world, what I will do is I'll just copy that command which will clone the GitHub repository into my Jenkins master server. Okay, so overall, this is how our pipeline code will look like to clone the GitHub repository. So pipeline, open braces, agent is any. In this case, it will be executed on the Jenkins master. Then the stage. So this is the first stage. I have added only one stage here. That is the stage name is cloning the GitHub repo. Then what is the step? The step is this. This is the command to clone the GitHub repository. Okay. So now let me go ahead and save this job, and we will go ahead and execute this. Okay, now I will click build now. You can see here it has started the build, and it is already executed as well. And if I want to see the console output, okay, you can see here. So it is saying finish success. So it has basically successfully cloned the GitHub repository, right, onto my Jenkins master server. So if I go into the pipeline steps, so you can see here it is showing the complete the path of the the stages that has happened. Okay, so now what we will do, we will verify if the code is successfully cloned into the GitHub repository. And here you can see the summary view. So clone GitHub repo, that is a stage, and that got completed in 1 second. Okay, here also if you see the success, and I can click the logs here. From here also you can see the complete log of the repository clone. Okay, so now how do we verify if the repository has been successfully cloned? In my Jenkins system, generally the job artifacts, it will be stored in the var lib Jenkins workspace directory, right? So let me take a duplicate session, my Jenkins server. Ubuntu. So here, let me switch the user to the root. I guess the system is a little slow. So I'll go to where Jenkins and workspace. Okay. So under this directory, we will see the entry for our pipeline job. You can see here. I will go into this directory. And under this directory, I can see the content of my GitHub repository. You can see here, the repository got cloned here. I can see all the files, whichever is in my GitHub repository. And this is my source code. It will be under the web app where I will have my source code. So it has completely cloned my repository content. Because if I check in GitHub, see, this is my repository. These are all the files I have. Form.xml, Jenkins file, readme.md, Docker file, etc. You can see all those files here, right? Means the repository has been successfully cloned using the pipeline script. Okay, so this is a simple pipeline script that we use to clone the GitHub repository. So maybe in the next video, we will enhance our pipeline script and we will add some steps to build our code, to test our code, etc. Okay, and for that we will have to do an integration with the Maven also. So we will see how that pipeline script looks like. So I will maybe talk about it in detail in the next video. Okay, so I hope this video was helpful. And I also just wanted to update that, I am taking trainings on AWS and DevOps. In fact, I have put in a separate video on trainings offered from AWS DevOps List 11. So if you want to take up trainings on any of these technologies, you can just feel free to send an email to me to the mentioned email ID. And the training mode will be a Zoom session, and the class recordings will be available on the Google Drive at the end of each and every class. Right? And this training is going to be completely focused on the hands-on lab exercises. So feel free to email me if anyone is interested. So that's all I had as part of this video. I hope the content was helpful. So if you like the content, please hit the like button and you can refer this video to your known circles as well. So thank you all, and I'll meet you all in my next video.